Yo, what's up, everyone? Thank you once again for joining us on today's podcast. We are doing the We Are Gamers series, learning about our buddies who game, putting a person behind the gamer tag. Yes, my name is Champ Tone, aka Sykosys, a gamer with a passion for Jesus and gaming. It is a true pleasure to grace your space once again this day. Today we will be meeting with our good buddy Spagheds, a good friend of
Going
mine.
on?
How you doing, Spagheds? What's good, man?
Good, good. Glad to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. It's always a pleasure. We've been doing these series just learning about the friends that I've personally gamed with, and just learning about the person behind the gamer tag. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Usually usually we're faceless and anonymous, and I just want to share that with the world. So, let's just jump right in it. So, if you don't mind, what's your first name?
First name is Eddie.
Eddie. And what's your usual game? So I call you Spaghetti. You said that's usually your gamer name. Is that the same game tag that you use like across other? Do you have like other names that you've used or used in the past?
No, yeah, I've got Spagheds, Spagheds 725. Then I got Ed Spagheds 25. I think that's about it.
Head Spaghetti. Nice. So does that name have like a special meaning for you in particular, or like why choose that name? What was it about that name that you chose it?
This is a pretty funny story actually. Back in my old neighborhood, that's what a lot of people call me, Spagheds. It
Mm,
all started with my little brother actually because
mhm.
I didn't eat spaghetti growing up. And so everybody used to say, "Oh, Eddie Spaghetti," and then the name kind of just stuck, And people shout me out all the time, like, "Yo, Spaghettis!" And it's pretty funny. So only people like really close in my inner circle would know about that.
Mhm.
Most people just go call me by my first name, but
That's
yeah,
funny.
it's pretty funny, and that's why I stuck with it because
Mm.
most of the people who game with me that know me in person, they know Spaghettis. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard them say it, when I'm like, why do they call like I never got that. That's hilarious. So you don't like spaghetti at all? Like
Oh,
it's just
I'm
not your
married
thing?
Italian, of course, so I eat
Oh.
spaghetti now.
Oh, that's great. That's so funny,
Yeah,
man. So
it is.
how, if you don't mind, this next question sometimes can be a little tricky because I'm gonna ask your age. If you're not cool with giving us your age, you could always just give us the bracket that your
Yeah.
your age falls in. It's up to you, and just let us know, when did you actually start gaming?
Okay. So my age, I'm 35, but
Hmm.
the time I started gaming, I mean, it goes back to when I was a kid. A lot of my older cousins and older family members always gamed. I kind of was just brought up into
Hmm.
gaming back as far back as Sega Genesis,
Hmm.
Nintendo, Super Nintendo.
Hmm.
We had an Atari, so like gaming's just always been around. I come from that era of, Super Mario and
Hmm.
Hunt the Duck. It's just always
Hunt the
been
duck.
there.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah, that's right, man. It's
With
clay
the light
shooting,
gun.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like it goes back pretty far.
Hmm. So you used to like take the gun and like point it. You used to walk up to the
Yes,
screen and and
yes.
shoot the duck
And shoot the duck, shoot the clay.
by
I'm waiting
getting
for
back
Call of
close.
Duty to step up, and do something like that.
That's funny. Does Call of Duty have VR yet? I wonder, man.
I don't know if they have VR. I'm sure. Well, they have, for PlayStation anyway. They
Hmm.
have the headset and stuff. I don't know if it's compatible with Call of Duty, but
Hmm.
yeah, man. I'm assuming it's coming.
I know that's like the one thing that makes sense. You know what I mean? Just doing that,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I've seen some crazy stuff. So what was it about video games for you personally that like drew you to want to start playing them? Like, what was it that you were just like, man, this is I want to do this.
Well, I mean, obviously, like I said before, I mentioned that growing up, I used to see all my cousins. It's just a fun time. I mean,
Mm,
especially, when you grow up. I'm from the Northeast. When you grow up, where it gets cold in the winters. I
Mm.
mean, sure, when I was a kid, I would be outside playing ball and stick ball and baseball and whatever. But,
Mm-hmm.
during the fall and winter months or family gatherings, that was like, that was the time to just sit down and zone out, play these games. A lot of, you're playing a lot of games that stuff you wish you could do. You're playing games like,
Mm.
war games or fantasy games and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And, you think it's kind of nostalgic to me, now that I'm
Mm-hmm.
older, but, that's just kind of what really drove me, it was the time to escape for a minute and get in
Mm.
my own head and try to figure out. It's almost like puzzles and stuff like that. I love having to interact and, you're almost like you're the player, trying to figure out which way to go, what pieces do I need to get. I mean, that's really what drives it for me, man.
Mm. Oh, that's interesting. Wow. That's actually really. You were a puzzle. You were a big puzzle guy.
Yes, I
Yeah.
am. I love to tinker and I love to figure stuff out. And
Wow.
yeah, I mean,
I know you like to
for real.
tinker. I've seen you do that. You're wild with how you get. I've seen that personally. You get an insta, but I didn't know you were into puzzles, man. That's a very
Yeah, I have
interesting
all
tidbit, man.
kinds of weird puzzle stuff and magnets, and I get deep into trying to figure out a solution. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. So this next question, it's if you don't mind, just just giving us your personal heritage and cultural background, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's totally fine, man. I grew up from middle class family, grandparents from Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
You know, grew up in like I said, northeastern Brooklyn. We weren't the richest kids, but we were all right.
East New
You
York.
know, yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And just a normal household, normal childhood. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
it's kind of some of the things we only had to fall back on was video games.
What do you mean?
I didn't have as far as like I didn't have a lot of opportunities to do many things as far as being in sports teams and things like that. Just growing up where I was, there weren't a lot of those opportunities.
Mm.
And video games was like that's where it was, man. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't too expensive.
Mm.
Christmas, waiting for all the new games to drop. Something that I really loved and enjoyed. Never had a problem with it as far as it controlling my life or anything like that. Was still able to maintain and have a healthy
Mm.
lifestyle.
Mm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, it was
Very
just
important. Yeah.
normal. It was just the norm. I mean, it wasn't really anything strange. It was like video games was the norm. Growing up.
Got you. So and your actual heritage, you're Hispanic, yes?
Yes,
I
Puerto
mean,
Rican
I mean,
through and through.
I kind of know. I'm just trying to.
No, it's cool. Yeah, no, definitely Boricua all the way. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I
you
I
know,
do. I do that. I do know that personally. Yes. So, has there been really any positive or negative impact your culture has had on your personal gaming experience?
um, I would say neither negative nor positive. I mean,
Really?
honestly, gaming. If you want to go positive on the positive note, gaming
Mm-hmm.
would bring friends and people that I didn't know. Like be
Mm.
like someone down the block, and they'd be like, "Oh snap, you play too? Yo, why don't you come over? Bring your control. We'll come to my house and we'll play. We'll have a tournament or whatever. So
Right.
that and also kind of like in today, I think that kind of works too. You could meet somebody, maybe a coworker or something like that, and
Mm-hmm.
you could like overhear like, wait, you play Call of Duty or you play this, you game,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of brings people together. Actually, it's like something you could break the ice with. Like, oh, I play too. What's your tire? Let's
Mm-hmm.
share
Mm-hmm.
game names. We could get a game going on the
Yo,
weekend sometime.
isn't that wild though? How like you can hear that, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, you hear somebody talking about a game, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Yo, I play that too." And I mean, do you usually just like say like, "Yo, what's up? I play that too," or anything like that, or is it just usually like you're talking to a buddy and they'll start talking about something, and all of a sudden you just like chime in because you're like, "Yo, yeah, man, that stage really pisses me off too," and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
both actually. That's happened both.
Mm.
Where I hear someone talking, and I'm like, yo, you game? What you got? You got PlayStation? What's up? Take my name, bro. We
Right?
get it in this weekend. Or somebody's talking about how
Mm.
they did this and that on a board, and
Mm-hmm.
you'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
how the heck did you find that piece? I'm still playing that board.
That's so
You
funny.
know?
That's so funny.
Yeah,
So,
man.
so what games? What's the majority games that you're playing now?
All right, so I'm playing Call of Duty, any version you could think of that's come out in the last couple years. From Modern Warfare, Warzone,
Mm,
the new Vanguard. I'm dying for the new God of War to drop in another
mm,
couple of months. I will be getting that. God of War is something new. I actually just started playing God of War like 2 years ago when the last one dropped, and
mm,
it was kind of like a PlayStation version of Zelda almost.
mm.
And it was just like finding pieces, walking through the world, trying to figure out what's this, try to beat this,
Yeah.
because I actually ran through the whole game and realized I didn't beat everything. Like I got the story ending, and I was like, wait a minute, there's still a whole bunch of stuff on the map that I haven't done yet.
For God of
So
War.
yeah, God of War.
Mm,
God of War is definitely one of my top 5 games right now. Like
nice.
I've been waiting patiently for the new one to drop for like 3 years. And you know what? I heard that from a buddy at work. Guys
Mm,
are talking about God of War this. I'm like, what the heck is God of War? They were like, you don't know? And I'm like, no, I know Call of Duty. That's what
mm.
I play. I play Call of Duty, and I get into the games with my kids on the Switch, and things like
Yeah,
that. So
yeah.
I definitely play like the new Mario's and things like that. Not as much
Mm,
because me personally, I can't get into holding the handheld device. I don't mind connecting it to the TV and throwing it up there, but the
mm.
kids kind of took that over. Every Switch that I had just gets inherited by somebody else. I'm like, okay,
Yeah, that's
I
how
guess that's
I know
yours
that.
now.
I know how that goes. Yep.
And I stopped buying them. I went through 2 already, and I'm like, I'm not buying no more Switches. And I wait for them to not be around, and I just kind of jump on theirs in their room. I'm like, just
You're
start
like, oh,
gaming.
oh,
You're like, oh,
I can get some game
what's
time
this
in.
here?
That's so funny. That's so funny.
Yeah.
So obviously you've been playing since you were a kid. Like there really wasn't a break, and you're still playing
No,
even
there
now,
was
right?
there was not. There might have been a break when I was like 14 to 17,
Mm.
where I was just involved in a bunch of nonsense. I won't get into any details, but you could say this was the rugged path in my life. Maybe
Mm,
16. I'd say like 15 to 18.
mm,
And
mm.
then I started getting back into the games.
Yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
mentioned there was something you mentioned that I thought was cool because I've actually heard this from different people on the other podcasts that we've done, and it's that whole going towards one goal. Like, so you got people that you've never met, and all of a sudden you bring up this conversation about a game that just it's almost like it brings you together, right? Because
It's almost like you my brother. Like, yo,
yeah,
bro,
right,
we should have been hanging.
yo,
I'm
and
telling you, it's beautiful. I think it's a major icebreaker. I mean, you could go
mhm,
from like not even talking to somebody and hearing like just a couple words about them talking to someone else or just mentioning
mhm,
a game, or maybe they were on the phone. And as soon
yeah.
as they hang up, you're like, yo, what's up, man? You game? And you guys are like, hey, yeah, we're like buddies. By next week, you're like, yeah, this is my dude, yo.
Right? And then it's like, yo,
Yeah,
give me the gamer tag. You get the friend, put the
yo,
friend code
that's it.
in, boom,
Yeah,
you guys are together,
telling
and
you.
then you guys are actually playing the game. Just
Yeah,
and
dude.
and y'all know what to do. That's the thing. It's not even
Mm-hmm.
like you need to explain what's going on.
No,
Like he
no.
plays it, you play it. You guys are going for the exact same goal. Two people that
Yep.
have never talked to each other until that day, because that one that one piece of whatever was
Yeah.
talked about, and it's like, oh snap, yo, let's do it. And then
Yeah.
it's like, yo, this guy's actually pretty good. Wow, I'm gonna keep playing with him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, absolutely, man. I think that's pretty cool, man.
That's awesome, yo. So you've been playing games since you said Atari, right?
Yeah, I've had an Atari.
So
I
you,
had Atari.
yeah, no, Atari. I've had a
Sega,
few Ataris, man. So you've had the Atari,
Dreamcast,
Nintendo.
GameCube, every single system that has come out,
Mm,
I've gotten except for an Xbox.
yeah, I haven't
Not
been able to
hating,
get
not
the.
hating on Microsoft at all.
Haven't been
I
able to
just,
get the. It's hard to get.
I, PlayStation was. I mean, but even when they had the 360 and the Xbox One,
Mm,
I was already like swooped into the PlayStation back when PlayStation was free online and Xbox was paying for it. Now everybody's paying for it. Go
hmm.
figure. But
I know, right?
yeah, I've owned them all. Dreamcast. I mean,
Mm.
Game Gear, Game
You had a
Boy. I
game.
mean,
You had a Game Gear.
I had a Game Gear.
That was
That
the one that
game
had
just
like
come.
20 batteries, right?
Yes, yes.
I, re- I
I
remember
had a
that. Yo,
Game Boy.
bad batteries.
Honestly, I think I had it. I was so young that I like played
Mm,
it once or twice, and it was just like whatever. It wasn't like as great as a Game Boy, for instance. You know what I mean?
right, right, right. Because the Game Boy wasn't as heavy. Because
No,
you
no,
could keep
nowhere
playing
near.
it, and the batteries didn't run out in an hour, and then you needed
Mm-hmm.
another 20 freaking batteries. Yo, it was something stupid like that. It was just so many batteries. It was
No,
so
yeah, it was
ridiculous.
crazy.
Yo, this is so good, man. So let me. So what is your favorite number one video game of all
Favorite
time?
number one video game? Wow.
Like the
All
one
right.
game that, I mean, it could be a series too, but it's usually one game that you can, if you played it, you would just, you just love playing it.
The one game is probably gonna have to be a series. Literally any Zelda game,
Really?
any
Oh
Zelda
yeah, that's
game,
right. You
I
love
could just
puzzles.
jump on and play Zelda all day. No YouTube, no magazine with the cheat
Mm-hmm.
codes, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to figure it out, and that's why some of my kids have given up on the new Zeldas on the Switch because they're like, oh, I don't know how to figure this. I'm like, no, you suck. I was like, you suck. Ocarina of Time. I mean, oh
Mm.
man,
Such a classic.
playing with the N64 and doing the music, beep beep beep, pressing left, right, up,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
left,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Like, come on, dude. I love Zelda. Zelda is the bomb.
Zelda,
I could
man.
play Zelda any version, any day, and just be lost for hours.
Mm.
So my
Zelda.
wife probably grabs me by my ear.
Zelda's
Telling
really good though, man. Not for nothing. Zelda, the whole Zelda
uh,
series.
it's just great, bro. It's
Yeah.
like honestly, Zelda is the closest thing to Zelda right now is God of War to me. Just right from what I'm playing right now. God of War
Oh,
is like that.
really?
Obviously, a lot of slaying monsters and stuff like that.
Mm.
You know, bosses on certain levels. You know that you got to keep playing and playing until you beat the guy finally.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
definitely. That's
I
my
never
Zelda
got
right now.
into God
God
of
of
War.
War.
That's the thing. I've never really
No.
got into God of War. I've seen people play it. I didn't know it had a puzzle element that was that good.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know if the older ones had it like that, because I know
Mm.
there's a lot of. I've tried to play some of the older ones after I beat the last one,
Hmm.
and it was kind of just the graphics were kind of so cheesy. I was just like, nah, I'm not even gonna try this.
The older
But
one. I mean,
yeah, they go
those.
back. I mean, I didn't know God of War has been out for so long.
Yeah, since what? I think the PlayStation 2 or
Yeah,
the
it's been
PlayStation.
out for a long time.
See,
At least for the PlayStation 2 for sure.
because I'm not a big
Yeah,
I'm not a big PlayStation fan. I know guys that
yeah.
play it and they love it. Like once
Oh,
they started playing it, forget it. That was it. They were like, "Yo, this game is amazing," you know, and they would just always talk about it. I'm like, "Oh, okay," you know what I'm saying? Because I never really rolled it like that. But you saying it's
well, the
mad
thing.
good, right?
Oh, it's so good. I'm telling you, if you gave it a shot, you'd be like hooked. It's
Mm.
crazy.
And it's
And you know what?
like
Recently,
Zelda.
well, not exactly like the story's obviously different. It's nothing
Mm.
like Zelda where you gotta like, but you got magic and stuff like that is involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's obviously it's God of War, so you know what I mean. There's like,
Mm-hmm.
I think this new one I think is supposed to bring out maybe like the those guys like Thor and different gods like that. So
Mm.
that's kind of cool. Those are usually like the bad guys, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as far as being in an open, it's just like an open world, and you can go here, you can go there, you can be walking by and end up having to fight some guy who's on the left or the right.
Yeah, yeah.
You're in a boat and you're steering the boat to go from one side to the other. Valkyries. I mean, like it's for me, it's the closest thing to as far as like being a puzzle and trying to figure out, this and that and which way to go on the map. Like you have to pull the map up.
Mm.
There's some scenes where you're in a level where you gotta kill the guys to get like health because you're
Mm-hmm.
dying as you're fighting. It's like
Oh,
it's
like
pretty.
nonstop? That's kind of
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Like there's just one section of the map where every time you go in there, as soon as you go in, the air is toxic, and you got to defeat enemies
Oh,
to get juice back.
that's interesting. That's a wild
It,
mechanic. Wow.
it's pretty. It's pretty cool. I'm telling you, as soon as I started playing it, I was hooked.
Mm.
I was like hooked. And I just the same people who put me onto that put me onto Assassin's Creed. Said, "Yo, it's just like that." I bought the
Mm.
last Assassin's Creed, and I honestly haven't even opened the package. And I will. Let me tell you, I love Call of Duty. I game Call of Duty with my kids, with my
Mm.
buddies,
Mm.
people at work, random people online. And when God of War comes out, I will push Call of Duty aside until I beat the game.
Wow, that's so which all right, so this is going to be kind of hard. Which is your favorite Zelda game then? Because you've played you
Oh,
have you played the original ones on Nintendo?
I have played the original. Wait, no, on Nintendo, no. I've actually
Mm.
played remastered. Not remastered, but I downloaded something one time where it had some of the older versions where it was just kind of a flat map and you were moving up and down, left and right.
Okay.
And I'm not so crazy about that. I appreciate more of the graphics and the
Mm.
story.
Hmm.
I haven't really dug deep into any of those Zelda games to say like, yo, this was the best, but it would have to be
Got you.
Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time. Where they pwn song, bro? Do, do,
Yes,
do, do,
yes.
do,
One
do,
of my
do,
favorite.
do.
What was that?
I can't even
N64.
hit that note. Yeah,
N64.
yeah, man. That was it was long too, right?
Yeah,
Like
it
the
was such a
story
good game.
the
It
story
was
was
such
cool.
a
That
good
was the one
game.
where you went back and forth in time,
Yep.
right, with the ocarina and
Yes.
yeah, that with
It
the
would just like
Gorons and
warp you to a
everything.
different time zone. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah, 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 man. Oh, that one was so good. And the graphics aren't that great. Like, but
No, they
but the
weren't.
gameplay
Not
is
not like
so
what
good.
the gameplay was fantastic.
The gameplay was so good. All right, so that leads up actually to the next this next question. What's your one gaming memory that you will never forget? Like just it could be good, it could be bad, but just a
What
moment
game?
in gaming that you always remember when this happened.
Okay, okay. This is gonna be good. This is good and bad. All
Oh
right.
no.
So when it comes to sports games, I'm not
Mm.
great. I've never
Hmm.
been great. Fighting games, never been great. And my brother is a beast. So I think we
Yes.
were playing.
Yes,
What
he
game were
is.
we playing? It had to have been I think it was a basketball game. I want to say for Sega, NBA Jam TE was when you
Mm.
did like crazy 3-point shots. You get like 15 points. But anyway, so I'm laying on a twin bed, and my brother's sitting in the chair next to me in our room that we shared when we were younger.
Yeah.
And I finally whooped my brother. And I didn't just like beat him like by a couple points. I mean, I mopped the floor with him. First time and probably the last that I'll ever beat him in any sports game.
Mm.
And he was so mad and such a sore loser that he picked up my giant size 10 Timberland boot and whacked me on the back of the head with it
What?
and ran out of the room. Yeah, I actually told this story not like a couple days ago to my kids, and they were dying. They were like, "What?" And I was like,
Oh
"Yeah, yeah."
my goodness. He
He's
he
so
picked
bad.
up he and he was a small dude.
Yeah, he picked up. I'm telling you, my work Tims, like work Tims. They were like the 6-inch high ones. They were
Yeah.
like sitting next to the bed. I
Oh
was
my
laying on my
goodness.
belly playing, and he was sitting on the chair next to me. He just whacked me twice with the boot so hard.
He
He
was
was so
so
mad
mad.
because you don't even understand when you lose to a person for so long and beat
Oh,
them. All you need to beat them is one time, and you just like, I'm a beast. And he was so mad. I don't know if he was mad that I beat him or mad that I celebrated so greatly. And I'll never forget that moment. And I
that's
guarantee you
hilarious.
he's never forgotten it either.
And but this was a game that he would always beat you in. Is what you would
Every
say,
shot,
right?
it's literally the only time I've ever beat him in a sports game.
What
To this
the?
day. Till this day. Like I don't care what kind of sport game it was, I can never beat him.
Oh my
And that
goodness.
is literally the only time I ever beat him, and he was so mad.
Yo, he tried
Oh
to
my
clobber
god.
you with the Tims, man. That's
Yeah, he clobbered me twice and ran out the room because he knew I was gonna get up at some point.
yo,
But he took advantage that I was laying on my stomach. Oh my gosh.
oh my
I'll
goodness.
never forget it. Never
that's
forget it.
that's that's a great memory, man. All right, so we're winding down. Yo, this has been real good, Ed, man. I really
Yeah, man.
appreciated this. So this next question is a little more of a technical question,
Okay.
and it's about the evolution of technology. So you this is interesting because you're one of these guys that has actually seen technology, especially with the consoles,
Oh yeah.
evolve literally
Hmm.
in front of your eyes. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
you saw when you went from Atari to Nintendo, the jump. Then you saw
Yeah.
from Nintendo to Super Nintendo. It was like whoa, you know what I mean? Then Super
Yeah.
Nintendo N64 and on and on. So how do you feel the evolution of technology has impacting your own personal gaming experience? Has it been positive? Has it been negative? And I mean, what are your how do you feel about just the way it's been going and the way it is going?
All right. So for me, I think it's mostly positive. I
Mm.
mean, from what it came, I mean, I come from days when we were blowing in cartridges, and to not have to do that anymore was a big
Loaded
step. You know what I mean?
cartridges. Yes,
Blowing in
that's right.
cartridges and flipping the reset button 10,000 times just to get the game to work. I mean, I could turn on my PlayStation any day of the week, and I mean, unless the Wi-Fi's out, I have
Mm.
zero issues. Or there's a 15-hour update. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's been great, and honestly, I've had PlayStation before I knew about online. It
Mm.
was only till somebody told me, "Hey, you could go online and play with people,"
Mm.
and I was like, "What? What do you mean play with people like all over the world?" And they like,
Right.
yeah. So I created a username
Mm.
and it was over. I was like, this is great. Like you could turn on the TV at 2 in the morning. And there's an opponent ready to face you.
That's right. That's
If
right.
you're playing that type of multiplayer game, or you know, the graphics. I mean, everything. I hear about the stories. Oh, the kids are playing too much screen time, too much this, too much that.
Mm.
I mean, listen, it's not, let the kids be kids. Sure, kids are encouraged to go out and have physical activity,
Mm.
but I mean, I've had no negative experiences.
Mm.
My
Mm.
kid would stay in his room all the time and just be like, playing games, come out for dinner and go back to play games. But you
Mm.
know what? Now he's out of it. He's not it. And I didn't have to force him to do that. He did that on his own.
Mm.
Like I didn't have to be on him 24/7. Like, hey, you got to stop playing and spend time with the family.
Mm.
He doesn't he games still every once in a while, but you know
Yeah.
what? It's just once they start maturing and they get into other things,
Mm.
let the kids be kids. They want to play video games, let them play video games.
No, I hear you.
As long as they're not failing in school or the
Right.
kids, not healthy or anything like that, and probably need some physical
That's
activity.
yeah,
That's
that's usually when it's like,
understandable.
all right, yeah, eat a sandwich and
Yeah, yeah. Nah, but I mean, for me, it's been pretty positive. I don't have
mm.
any negative experiences.
Mm.
Unless you want to
Mm.
count negative as you got to pay for new levels. Back in the day, you got all the levels when you bought the game.
Yeah.
You know, that
Yeah,
was the
that's
gimmick where oh, you want the DLC map pack? Come on down and spend another $25,
I
buddy.
know that's one of the few negatives I see too. But
Yeah.
I agree. It's definitely been more positive. I like you talked earlier about even gaming with your kids. No, like
Let
that.
me tell you, online gaming, like if gaming didn't have any evolution
Mm.
since back when I was younger, I mean,
Mm.
my son, I have 5 kids.
Mm.
My son who's 9, my daughter who's 10, and my
Mm.
son, my oldest son who's about to be 15. Like,
Mm.
we literally game all at the same time in the same match.
Yeah.
Like, all of us with headsets where everybody's in a separate room. You know what I mean? My daughter and my son play all the time. They're playing, even the games on the phone. They're all in the same match. Like
Yep.
it's crazy.
And
I think
isn't it
that's
cool
great.
playing? Right? Isn't that cool? Because I'm a dad too. And I've talked about this before. Like you're a dad, your kids like playing video games. Play with your kids. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of people don't know this, but the reason I saw my dad playing. We played Atari together, and that was
Wow.
yeah. We were trying to beat each other's scores on Sequest, and he was
Mm-hmm.
like he would get upset because I would beat his scores because I was a beast. When I was a kid,
Yeah.
just shooting the sharks and but
Yeah.
it was the time like that time we were able to spend together. Like I get
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? It's whenever you spend time doing something you like doing with someone you love, it
Mm-hmm.
matters. and they're gonna remember that too. That's the cool
Oh
part,
yeah, for
because
sure.
they'll remember
My
that.
son, yeah, my son begs me sometimes. Like it'd
Mm.
be like 10:30 at night. I'm trying to put him to bed. He's like, "Come on, let's just play one match." And I'm like, then one time his mom is calling him to bed. He's in the middle of a Fortnite match by himself playing solos.
Oh
This is when
no!
he was 6, and he is
Wow.
shredding. And my wife's like, "Hey, this kid's got." I'm like, "Hold on, he's about to win. Just wait." I'm like, "Hold on." He's got like 7 people
Yo,
on the board.
that's
Yo,
awesome. Like, yo.
as sure enough, like 15, 20 minutes later, he
Mm.
kills the last dude.
And
And
wins.
he was so hyped. And I was even hyped. I was like, yo! I was like, yo! I said, yo, put your mic on, let them know that you're 6.
Let them know you. Let them know they got beat by a 6-year-old. That's so
Yo,
bad.
it was, and my
Oh
wife was like, yo,
no.
you worse than the kids. I was like, you don't understand as a gamer dad, that
Yeah.
is huge. I was like,
That's
this is huge. It could have been 1 o'clock in the morning. I would have let him finish that match. I was
that
like, because I know what it feels like.
that is so awesome, bro. That is so good.
I was like,
I know exactly
I told
what
my
you
wife,
mean.
I was like, hold on. Give him a minute. He's about to win.
He's
Hold on. And I grabbed the seat and sat next to him, watched him grinding. I was like, yo, oh man.
cheering them on, like, come on, yeah, look, he's over there. Yo, run
I'm
over
like,
here.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I'm like, turn around. Yo, it was such a good moment for Mikey, my son Mikey. Oh my
yeah,
gosh. He don't forget that to this day. Like, oh my gosh. And
yeah,
now he
they
just be creaming it like it's nothing.
mm,
Like that's how you know it was such a good moment because like he'll walk
mm-hmm.
by and I see he's about to win and I'm like, I see whooping butt and I'll just keep walking. It's not that same moment. Like it was a crucial moment. I mean, I needed to see it.
Right, right.
Same thing like when I game against them on 1v1. They
Mm.
swear they could beat me. They're like, oh, come on, I'm gonna whoop you. I'm like, all right. You want to get
Oh,
embarrassed,
yeah.
that's fine. And my wife, she's like, why you don't just let them win sometimes? I'm like, you think if you
Oh,
play somebody else, they're gonna let them win? I
no,
was like,
exactly.
you
You
gotta have
gotta,
to beat me fair and square.
and then when they beat you, it's like you give them like that Mr. Miyagi nod, like, yeah,
Yeah,
huh? You think you good,
Jesse almost
and then
beat
you're
me.
like,
Nobody's beat me yet, but Jesse almost beat me. He almost beat me. It was like one. All he needed was 1 kill, and I needed 5, and I still shredded him. He was
oh,
so mad.
oh
He was
man.
so mad for like 3 days. He was pissed.
And but that's how they get better. That's the
Yeah.
crazy thing.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
that sticks in their mind, you know what I mean? They don't, and then
Mhm.
you don't do it so that they give up.
No,
Like
and then
that's
I tell him, I say, listen, this is what you should have did.
mm,
If you saw
mm,
me coming out the way I was
mhm,
coming out, you should have did
mm,
something. You should have laid back.
mhm.
Instead of trying to go head to head with me, you
It's
should
like
have played more strategically.
it's like the kung fu master. You're like,
Yeah.
nope, that's wrong. Whap, you knock him over the head again. Whap,
Yep.
that was wrong. Do it again. Oh man,
Oh yeah.
yo,
It's crazy.
that's so good, man. All right, well, that's listen. This was really good, bro. I enjoyed this one, man.
Yeah,
Thank you,
man, so did I, man.
thank you so much for coming through and just being a part of this. And I want to thank everyone who's listening. This has been a great series we're continue to doing, and just thank you for letting us grace your space once again this day. I just want to tell you that you are awesome. Jesus loves you, and get that ganadora.